for that. The Ezreal we saw last game, he's more than happy to pick that up. He's also played MF and Kai'Sa, so still plenty of options in the AD carry pool. On the other side, Wink, 10 games on the Ezreal. It's by far his most picked, but I guess they're going to stick with this Ashe.
And I'm surprised, right? The fact that Suning showed, like, hey, we're going to take away Graves from Wei. We think that's a massive priority. And eStar is saying, no, we don't care about the Graves. We're just going to once again go towards the Ashe. Again, we don't know if it's the fact that they think it's the best champion right now or if they are just afraid of giving it over to Suning.
And that's the scary thing, right, is when you've got these teams that play so heavily around things like the Ashe. Like, we've seen Monfang and Sword Art play Ashe and Bard and have this long-range engage. It's a terrifying composition to play against. Other teams like WE as well, playing really heavily around this Ashe. We've got a few teams that really, really prioritize this pick, and eStar deciding they don't want to have to deal with that. Volibear is the first pick, though, coming from Suning.
Yeah, and so far, Suning actually haven't played this champion at all. I have seen that SOFM and Bin are both playing in solo queue, so this is a flex pick coming out from this team. And of course, this just does fit SOFM's playstyle, right? He was one of the ones who kept playing jungle set when no one in the LPL really was.
The big question, though, about the solo queue play is, like, are they playing it in solo queue because they want to play it on the stage, or are they playing it in solo queue because they want free elo? Because it's real strong right now.
I will say typically for pretty much all the LPL players, what they're playing in solo queue is what they're going to play on stage. SOFM actually has been the one to go against that, because I remember I checked maybe a week or two ago, he was spamming Shyvana, and I was ready. I had my Shyvana notes rearing to go. No Shyvana on stage. I was disappointed.
I'm not that disappointed, especially if it's AP Shyvana.
It's AP Shyvana.
Get that out of my games. I hate it. eStar, though, they're liking the GOAT right now. Xiaobai gets himself the Ornn. It's something we've seen him play time and time again. Loves these big teamfight ultimates. And once again, Wei going to grab himself the Graves. We talked about how this is a super high priority jungler.
And overall, this is just eStar getting two amazing comfort champions in Ornn and Graves, and they get the takeaway from Huanfeng with the Ashe.
Look at this smile on Angel's face right here. He's cycling through different mid laners. Look at that confidence that is oozing from Suning. They are feeling so good right now, and locking in a KO.
I'm going to be honest, Munch. I'm not a big fan of this for the reason that you now revealed your flex, and you could have made eStar waste potential bans towards top or jungle going into the second phase that they now don't need to waste.
I'm not going to lie, looking at the faces of the Suning players, I don't think that they are stressing out about drafting optimally coming into game number 2. And you know what? If I was on Suning, after game number 1 like that, I don't think I'd be that worried about game 2 either.
I guess you're right. So what you're saying is Suning should disrespect their opponents,
I never said should. I just said that it's not unlikely to see it. We've seen teams play disrespectfully in the past in the LPL.
Yes.
It's not that rare.
That is true, and still Suning now are going to have an option of whether they want to counterpick mid or support. These are typically the two roles we do see left. With all the bans towards Angel's champion pool, maybe we see mid pick fourth, but the fact that Suning are actually actively banning out supports would signal to me that they want a fourth pick support, and this could be a Bard game. It is Sword Art's best champion this split. It's his most played champion this split. Obviously, Ezreal is the type of champion that you feel comfortable leaving alone in a lane, so
Ezreal Bard is a great duo, honestly, because obviously Ezreal does a decent job of following up on the poke that you get out of Bard during a lane, but also, as you rightly say, Ezreal totally safe to be alone in that lane, can just avoid any kind of engage. And we saw last game, multiple times, Huanfeng able to just zip away from the Ashe ults that came out of Wink.
And I'll be honest, Suning's composition so far is really weird. They're not like heavily indexed into one area, right? It's not necessarily a team fight comp yet. There's like scaling in it. Kale always can team fight, can side lane. Volibear, since we know he's jungle, wants to go for these early game invades and skirmishes and duels. So Suning's comp is really going to be determined by the 4th and 5th pick.
We'll see what they go for in the end here. And I think actually going for a relatively serious pick. I was looking at their faces. They were giggling away. I wasn't sure what they had up their sleeves, but the Nautilus comes on through, and I think rightly so, because they do need some hard engage here.
And this was something I was talking to Dagda with on the last hit, is that I don't like the way we've seen Volibear in a lot of our comps here in the LPL. I prefer the LEC version, where you'll see it in jungle, and you'll put it with hard engage, like a Wukong or Ornn in the top lane, and a Nautilus or Leona in support. So now, obviously, Suning are setting up for this more teamfight-oriented composition. Oh, wow.
We've got a Taric locked in here for Xiaoxi. alongside an Ashe. Not a combo that you usually see, but I can imagine that the slow actually out of Ashe can set up for the stun from Tarek pretty well. But it is something we've seen out of Shousey a lot, especially last split. We saw him leaning towards the Tarek. Hey, Tarek Ashe might not be that good. Tarek Kassadin is terrifying.
Yeah, I really like eStar's comp, but I'm more interested in wondering what Angel's going to pick into this, because in solo queue, Angel plays a lot of like aggressive AD champions. Like he plays a lot of mid lane Lucian and things like that. So I wonder if he'll want to go for a lane boy style, which would go against their comp, or just draft for a team fight.
All I'm saying is Talon is a hard counter to Kassadin, but okay, they go for the LeBlanc. This is something we've seen Angel on in the past. It's something that he can definitely dominate.
But that's really interesting too, because he's pretty much self-counter picking himself into the Kassadin matchup, but I guess we can talk about that more in game. Talking more holistically about the comps, obviously eStar, once again, this comp is clearly set up for scaling, so taking what Suning went with last time around, going to be very strong in 5v5s, very strong in skirmishes, and it's going to be really tough for members like Angel to come in with the assassination when they're up against Kassadin, who's going to get extremely tanky, Tarek, who's going to provide safety for his whole team, and then Xiaobai in the top lane.
It definitely feels like if this game goes on, I mean, honestly, I don't even know who wins in the late game. Because we've got a Kayle on one side, we've got a Kassadin on the other side. Once again, I feel like we say this a lot in the LPL, but it comes down to execution. Like, we have two insane hyperscaling super carries. Let's see which one wins.
The problem is, because you wouldn't see this Suning comp in any other region, right? This is kind of strange. Like, we have a Kayle, we have a LeBlanc, we have a Volibear in the jungle.
I mean, the Volibear in the jungle you see a lot in other regions.
But it's not necessarily any of the champions in isolation being weird. It's seeing this kind of, these champions all thrown together being a bit different.
It is a bit of a weird one here from Suning, but they're clearly feeling confident coming into game number 2. In eStar, I like this composition that they've gone for with this Kassadin alongside a Tarek. There's a lot of potential for late game carry, especially with the Ashe, especially with the Graves as well. There's pick potential here too. We'll see if eStar can get it off of the ground here in game number 2, because Suning, they made game 1 look easy, and now, with a potentially disrespectful draft in game number 2, we'll see if this is going to pan out for them.
And I want to see what Rune Fun takes in the mid lane, because I do know some players who would take Conquer in this matchup as a Kassadin, but obviously if he doesn't have the confidence, we'll go with the Fleet Footwork. It is a matchup that is rough for Kassadin in the very early levels, so especially levels 1 through 3 is when LeBlanc really needs to start trading heavily and finding an advantage.
There are not very many matchups for Kassadin that aren't rough.
We actually get, I remember we've seen this. It was from Fofo, the Hail of Blades LeBlanc, and he built Hextech Gunblade first and hard to punish the Kassadin, you know, with some AD.
I remember this, yeah. And he didn't go for the full AD split push LeBlanc build.
It was just the Gunblade.
Years ago.
Yeah.
He did go into the AP after the Gunblade, but yeah. Went for the AD early just so that, you know, Kassadin, the reason he's good, or the reason he can survive against LeBlanc is he has the spell shield on his Q. Doesn't matter if all the damage is coming from autos.
Yeah, exactly. So that's going to be really interesting to see. And the Colonel also favoring eStar's composition, which is how I've obviously kind of, I haven't clearly said it, but I've been skirting around it of like, hey, eStar's comp makes sense. And the comps I typically favor are ones that are very straightforward and make sense. Suning's is going to be more interesting to where, okay, you have a counter pick in the top lane. I guess this LeBlanc is going to be a counter pick with the way that he's built with runes and items. And you're going to play more around aggressive counter jungling on top side through 2 winning lanes.
I love this super heavy leash we just saw out of Xiaobai here. He literally leashed the blue buff while Wei's finishing it off. Goes and starts the Gromp for him. Gives him a little bit of a bellows breath and a slam onto that one. So team player Xiaobai up in the top lane helping out his jungle here, because he knows that he realistically can't touch the wave while Bin is there as well. But we can see the runes here for the side of Angel here on the LeBlanc with the Hail of Blades. Which again, as you rightly say, this is a specific tech into the Kassadin.
Yeah, and really interesting. So he does force the wave under turret. I want to see if he's just going to continuously push and try to enable SOFM to look for invades, or if he's going to try to set up a bounce back and make it really hard for Fun to farm on his side of the lane.
So I want to delve into the compositions a little bit more here. Actually, I don't have time. SOFM finding a 1v1 in the jungle against Wei. We'll get a bunch of damage down, and I think he managed to grab that red buff as well. Nicely done here by SOFM. He wants a chicken on top of everything else. And I think he's going to be able to find it, because Wei does not want this fight right now. He'll be stunned. Sky Splitter comes through. We might have a solo kill in the jungle. Wei forced away on a black code.
Yeah, overall, really good and aggressive play coming out from SOFM. Of course, Wei going for the fleet footwork rather than something like a phase rush.
Hook through from Sword Art. We've got to fight 2v2 here, but Sword Art did not win that trade.
No, but... So, overall, still Suning control the wave, but Munchballs, you were saying you wanted to delve into these comps. So, yeah, delve away.
So, my big question, like, for any viewers at home, like, you've been talking about how eStar's comp makes a lot more sense. Talk me through the win condition here. Talk me through the strategy of how you pull off this Castin Taric combo, because it's not something we see all too often.
True, but so when I say this composition makes sense, it's that when we get to, especially the mid-game, right, we know this is a comp that's going to want to group up as 5. You have the Enchanted Crystal Arrow as well as the Call of the Forge God to start up any fights. You have a great Taric ultimate for if they want to come into you, which, as we've seen, LeBlanc is this type of champion that wants to jump in, burst you down like we saw from Zika earlier today. Cassidon's going to get very tanky later on. Xiaobai is going to be extremely tanky. Graves also going to get tankier since he does have the Black Cleaver, so you're kind of nullifying the LeBlanc. The Volibear obviously not going to be much of a damage dealer either because he's just going to be more of a frontline threat. You have a better frontline because you have an Ornn, you have a Taric, and you have Ornn items coming out. So you're really going to be relying on Kale on the side of Suning to where eStar have 3 carries they can play through.
SOFM might just have to flash here. Xiaobai's here. We'll wait for the Searing Charge, but gets away with his life. But really good counter jungling coming out from SOFM here. Knows that the red buff is still waiting for him, so takes what he can away from Wei while he has an opportunity.
And overall, like, this was the guess that we put out, right? Hey, they have a counter in top. They technically now have a counter in mid. They're going to look for these aggressive plays through top jungle. It really seems like the only way they can play up their comp. And the way I expect it to transition to mid game is they're either going to just try to hard snowball off of that LeBlanc, or they're just betting on the fact that Kale outscales what eStar have drafted, but a Cassidon with Ornn items is still something I feel extremely confident with.
This is one of those situations where it's like, look, it doesn't necessarily matter how the early game goes if Cassidon gets enough items. Sword Art's in trouble here. Face checks into 3 people. Flashes away with his life, though. I'm kind of surprised he got away with that.
Still, though, now eStar should be able to look for... I guess they're not going to look for a dragon. It's still Angel, the one pushing in mid lane. Does have a bit of a... quite a bit of a CS lead, actually, but still... Yeah. As Cassidon, as long as you are getting EXP, I feel like that's what's the most important thing, getting to that level 6 mark.
As long as you can get yourself your Rod of Ages relatively early and you get yourself your tier, like completing those items, that'll come with time, but just getting the fundamental items that need to be stacking, that's going to be the crucial thing here. Ultimately, Angel, I love the cold start from him.
Yep.
Acknowledging that he has the easiest laning phase he could ever want. He has a hard counter when it comes to this Halo Blades LeBlanc. And so he's like, hey, I'm going to farm up. I'm going to grab myself an extra 200 gold.
And if any of you missed Champ Select in an earlier talk or just tuning in, this is something we have seen here in the LPL before. We saw Fofo on BLG do it.
Hang on. Finn's in trouble here. Flashes the knockup. Wei still wants to make this happen. The slow from the smoke bomb will do a lot of work here, but Finn dodges the damage. And it's just going to be a flash.
Yep, not going to force anymore. He is only level 4 against the level 6 Kale, so maybe not feeling confident to try to force out the ult, and it would waste a bit of time anyway to where he could just go and get more golden XP from clearing out his jungle.
In the meantime, SOFM gets an opportunity to get onto this dragon, and let's bear in mind, it's not Suning that we're quote-unquote meant to have priority on this bottom side of the map. When it comes to this bot lane matchup specifically, you typically give the pressure over towards Ashe. But because Wei's making a play towards the top side, gives SOFM the opportunity.
Exactly, and so this is why we're saying in the early game, we do favor Suning. They do have 2 winning matchups as compared to just 1, so are going to have more priorities to play around. And this is really going to be the time they need to try and take advantage of eStar, which SOFM's looking to do right now.
Yeah, they're going to do exactly that. Sword Art doesn't have flash, but a Dredge line could net themselves some kills here. Xiaoxi the target. Still not going to go through, though. Xiaoxi flashed to safety, and now it's SOFM that could be in trouble. Has to ult himself away from the play.
Yeah, but now Bin is left topside, just like last game on the Jax, right? You're a Kale, you're left topside alone. You're going to be able to just farm up for free. It looks like he's going to prefer to hold the wave, which, with where it is, makes sense. Try to deny minions from Xiaobai. Yeah, and overall, good read on the state of his lane. You would expect it since obviously he's a pro player and a top challenger player, but
yeah, You would hope that he's pretty good at top lane at this point since he's playing in the LPL.
And was one of the most hyped Scrim players, you know, over the past year.
And let's bear in mind, there has been quite a bit of pressure on Bin this split, because last split, he was on this roster alongside BuBu, and they were kind of splitting the time about 50-50, maybe slightly further in favor of BuBu in spring. BuBu moved away to V5, and it's like the most beneficial trade ever, because Bin has stepped up massively since BuBu left Suning, but also BuBu stepped up massively since joining V5. Both top laners have leveled up. Both teams have benefited.
So it's confirmed V5 are not only making their own team better, they are making the world a better place. So thank you, V5.
They're like the FlyQuest of the LPL, if you will, making the world a better place. Way's in trouble, but he's not in trouble. There you go. Over to you, Lyric.
Yeah. They have Prio in the mid lane. Angel gets to come. That's what happens. But going back to kind of that discussion overall, right? It is unfortunate because Bin wasn't able to play for most of spring because he was quarantined. He was stuck in Wuhan from our understanding, so wasn't with the team. Did come over about halfway through the split. And then Suning had spent so much time playing with BuBu already, it was very hard for them to integrate him into the roster.
So we did see BuBu a lot back in spring, but now both teams feeling good off the back of the trade, and Bin has been stepping up in a massive way, especially his Wukong towards the start of the split was really the standout pick. But let's forget about the picks here, because we've got a pick onto Suning. It's Angel caught by the Ash Arrow. Nicely done by Wing, but they can't follow up on a kill. Oh no, not again. SOFM grabs himself. The Herald denies it from eStar. SOFM will pay with his life this time, so doesn't get away with everything, and that's a first blood to cast in. That is not what you want if you're a fan of Suning. Answered though, as a pickup goes onto Wing. Now stun onto Sword Art as well. They're trying to find more for this one. And they're going to be invincible. There's no damage coming in, but hey, it looked cool.
Did anyone get the Herald? Nope.
Nope.
No Herald picked up, and yeah, eStar finding an advantage. Kassadin massively finding. Oh my. Okay.
He needs to be careful
like, he's not getting caught out, is he? But doesn't end up going down.
So let's just talk about one thing quickly, as obviously, really nice little swing there for eStar. They get themselves a couple of kills, but ultimately the Herald is denied. The gold's still in favor of Suning. And I want to talk about that 1,000 gold lead, because it's all about the CS advantages. But actually first, let's take another look at the play.
Oh,
no.
Well, Way just smites a bit too early. But ultimately, we see the exhaust come out from Shousey. We see both him and Fun flash forward. Overall, going to have enough damage to guarantee the kill. It's great they guaranteed on Kassadin. We don't see how Wink got caught out by Sword Art starting out. I don't know if Sword Art was already in the middle of this lane, but still good that Suning get a kill in return. But overall, obviously 2 kills onto this, one of them onto the Kassadin, largely beneficial for eStar.
So I want to go back to what I was about to say before the replay there, and that's that when you look at the scoreboard right now, it's looking real good for Suning. When we talk about the fact that both these teams kind of want to scale up a good amount, we've got a LeBlanc that is 40 CS ahead in the mid lane. We've got a Kale that is 20 to 30 CS up in the top lane as well. 80 carries are going to be even, but even in the jungle there's a 20 CS lead. Suning are really powering ahead when it comes to just farming up and getting these items. Gunblade just got finished, by the way, on Angel.
I'm not sold, Munchables. I'm not sold on the Suning comp. I need to see it in action.
So what is it that you want to see from them? Tell me how this composition works, because I'm still a little bit confused,
That's the point. That's the point, Munchables. That I don't really see how this is supposed to work unless they're just going to snowball through the solo lane advantages that Angel and Bin build up and then transitions into more of like a 1-3-1 style composition. But it does feel like at some point, Fun will obviously be able to match Angel in the side lane. And then eStar just have so much engage, they're just going to be able to constantly force at neutral objectives anyway.
We'll have to see if that's going to be how it all plays out. Angel gets another trade onto Fun. It's getting already significantly less one-sided, though, in that mid lane.
True, but so that's still where I'd expect to see Suning need to take over this game from, is just keep rotating Angel, find numbers advantage, find picks, and, you know, build up a huge gold advantage to where, you know, scaling and team fighting, all that stuff doesn't necessarily matter.
Well, Lyric, I have some good news for you. And whether it's for Suning or for anyone, the second Drake is Cloud, which means we will get either a Mountain or an Infernal Soul.
Infernal.
Angel's in trouble here. The Infernal Soul did go on through, dodges away from the ultimate, flashes over the wall, and Angel's out of there. That was nicely done.
That was really well
I feel like I was watching Civ HD.
Oh, God. That brings back some memories.
The Yukes. Well, he didn't really juke, did he?
He
to
was
be honest.
actually
He kind of just ran away.
for a little bit a co-owner in my old team.
Really?
Yeah.
Which team?
Machi. He had a small percentage.
I remember he went. Yeah.
It was a few years ago.
I forgot that happened. Hang on, we've got a fight on our hands here. Fun jumps over the wall, gets the stun. This is exactly what we were talking about, this Kassadin-Taric combo. SOFM knocked up and finished off easily. The Xiaobai goes underneath the tower. And well, this is exactly how this eStar composition works. Suning yet to prove how this one's meant to work out.
Yeah, exactly. And again, eStar's comp just has so many tools, right? You have so many ways of answering, like, in the game. Eventually, Fun just going to be as strong as LeBlanc, but clearly stronger. You have a ton of engaged. You have some disengaged tools as well. The Taric is going to be such a nuisance in the late game for the side of Suning.
And we did talk about at the start of the series how sometimes we get a really, really strong presence from SOFM. We get to see him dictating the pace of the game, and sometimes starts to kind of suffer during the mid-game and not really know exactly what he's meant to be doing or where he's meant to be doing it. That feels like a situation there where he's the one caught out and probably didn't need to be there.
No, he did not, but I guess still, luckily for SOFM and Suning overall, is that, you know, sure, Angel has an advantage, that's expected, that's nice, but your Kale is still starting to get massive, has a 50 CS lead right now.
Yeah. I mean, that is ultimately, I fear what it's going to come down to.
I feel like that's going to be the win condition, right?
Like, we have on one side an Ezreal and a Kale that can just get massive in the late game and kite everything out forever and then, like, annihilate people. We have an invincible Kale against an invincible Kassadin.
Yeah.
Kassadin gets the Taric ult, Kale gets her own ult. Like, I don't know how to analyze that. I'm just excited to watch it. I want to see the 5v5s. Take me 20 minutes into the future.
You're making me doubt myself much as well as that Kale sounds pretty scary, but...
Yeah. Kale always sounds scary,
I
especially
know.
a few minutes into the game. A few minutes? A lot of minutes into the game.
It has been much more than a few minutes, so... Oh, but then you say invincible Kassadin.
Yeah, that's also pretty scary, right? Just Taric, man.
Yeah,
Taric's
exactly.
ult means he is always going to be at least relevant because he can always be slotted into comps like this.
Even without the ultimate, right? Just putting the W and then the E on Kassadin, so he has a shield, he's able to go stun someone up as well. So you now have this mobile Kassadin that can go on your team, stun anyone, and then just burst them out.
Imagine having Kassadin's flash stun except every 2 seconds. SOFM onto Fun here. Bin has rotated down as well, and it's Xiaoxi that will be rooted. Gets over the wall, though. Fun escapes with his own life. eStar maybe wanted to fight this one. Call of the Forge God.
Oh.
Bin has a stopwatch, keeps himself safe. The Sword Art comes in, and they're turning this one around. Suning go huge as Bin jumps forward, and there's a kill for Huanfeng as well. Now, a Herald. Oh, hang on.
Oh.
Angel's not done? Yeah, he is.
So overall, we at least learn at this point in the game, without the Taric ultimate, eStar definitely don't win fights. But overall, that was a beautiful stopwatch coming out from Bin to avoid the stun.
Yeah, really nicely played from the side of Bin, and able to get himself a kill as well. We always talk about these kind of hyper carries. If they can get accelerated to those items, they get online even quicker. He's already level 11.
Exactly. And one thing we knew coming in, the one thing that was clear about this composition, if they could get a snowball from their soul lanes, you know, that is always an avenue to win this game. And we're potentially looking at that right now.
We are looking at the opposite side as well. Kassadin is also getting pretty fed.
So let's see here. They go in with the E. Overall, does get a bit of AoE damage down first. Sword Art coming in with the ultimate. Since Taric doesn't have ultimate, not really able to offer anything else. And overall, Wink is also just not here. So was a 5v4 regardless of not having that Taric ultimate available.
Well, it's an Infernal Drake in 35 seconds here, Lyric, and Suning are well aware. They are positioning around this one. TP's available for both top laners. And this would be Infernal Soul point if Suning can grab the Drake, but obviously eStar are not going to want to let that happen.
I feel like eStar need to posture long enough for Xiaobai to get his ultimate. It looks like it'll come up around a similar time, so it comes up about 10 seconds after. They definitely don't want anything to happen before that Call of the Forge God is available. Their team is definitely very ultimate reliant.
Sword Art gets himself a Dredge line out of there. Both supports on the top side of the map makes me think that maybe we don't see the Drake starter straight away. But Angel's cleared vision, so I think SOFM can just move in here. And a Herald in mid lane gives them the pressure to just start this one off. I think Suning get this for free.
Yeah, waste topside, so eStar not going to commit to a fight until the very last second possible.
I mean, that is what you were talking about in the last game, right? Like, when you are the team that is behind, or maybe it was the game before last.
Yep, it was in the first series.
It's like when you have the composition that doesn't want to fight right now, wait until the last possible second. Get as much scaling as you can before you pull the trigger on the important fight.
Yep, and obviously, it depends on what tools you have in your composition, but at least the very broad philosophies, if you fall behind on an earlier mid-game comp, right, that's when you're looking for those big Hail Marys of like crazy plays that you're most likely going to lose, but if you don't lose, you're back in the game. If you're in a scaling comp like this that potentially eventually wins out, wait until, you know, they're taking something that you can't give up.
That Infernal Soul would certainly be one of those objectives.
Yes.
4.5 minutes for that one. Also, Baron will be up in 2 minutes, but let's bear in mind, neither of these team compositions, in fact, they're both terrible at taking Baron until later on in the game.
Yes, they are, actually. Neither of them are good, and you know, I'm just so excited we got to see this variation of LeBlanc come out from Angel, because when we saw this out of Fofo, I went through tons of pro solo queue games in this specific matchup and saw pretty much no one running this, so really glad to see, you know, it coming out in special way here in the LPL. I'm not sure if there is, you know, some streamer or some prominent person playing it somewhere, but definitely exciting to see. Glad we got to see it here again. Maybe. Obviously working wonders in both games it was played.
Maybe it's Civ HD.
Oh,
Maybe
God.
he's the one that pioneered the build. He was always a guy for weird builds. The brushy strategies.
I am not ready for a Civ HD talk today, Mike.
I'm trying to figure out the references. It's been a while. Arrow goes through. Sword Art with a nice stopwatch, keep yourself safe. Nearly got a hook onto Fun Fun. That could have been a big moment for Suning. Sharpeye has sort of been found by Bin. Gets a knockup for himself, but Bin's going to be all right on this one for now at least. There's another knockup. Forces out the ultimate. Bin survives at least. Collateral damage across the team, and everyone just throwing ultimates. Let's just hit the Arky, see what happens.
And the call of the Forge God is so important for eStar. I feel like throwing that one out for a kill that's not guaranteed is pretty not worth it.
And now Suning get to walk on forwards and grab themselves a mid-tower off the back of the not fight that we just saw. They've got a 3,000 gold lead for themselves, Lyric. And in the meantime, Sharpey's moved down just to take a minion away from the bottom lane. Yeah,
we saw eStar waste a bunch of ultimates, and we've already pointed out, eStar's comp is definitely way more ult-reliant than Suning's is, especially when Suning have a LeBlanc on their team, just have a ton of damage regardless. Same with the Volibear. Obviously, his ultimate is very crucial, but not something like an Enchanted Crystal Arrow or the Taric ultimate coming out. You need those to be able to hit to win out in these fights.
So we are getting to a point in the game, though, where Suning's composition is going to come online to at least some extent. We're going to have Huanfeng. He's already on the 2 items, just waiting for that Mana Moon to become a Muramana. We've also got Angel. Even when you're going for this Gunblade build, you still spike exceptionally hard on 2 items. You can see the Lost Chapter in the Blasting Wand. He's going to be hitting 2 items on his next recall. So we are getting to a point where Suning will start to be able to fight.
I mean, both teams, right? Both teams have, like, similar power spikes in compositions, right? Ashe and Ezreal. Ashe, I'd say, I guess, does have a stronger 1 item because you're Blade of the Ruin King user. Ezreal being more of a 2 item.
Angel is on the wrong side of this play right now, but he is on LeBlanc, so we'll see what he can get away with. And apparently, the answer is everything, as he zips over the wall once again. And every single time I get caught out by Angel. Every single time he gets away.
I mean, Munchables, I don't know if you've ever watched LeBlanc before, but that is how it works.
I've actually played her once. It was crazy, dude.
Was it?
Yeah. What an anecdote. We have a play on Fun, but he's uncasted it, so he also can just never be caught. We've got a 1v1 between the hyper carries that aren't hyper carries yet, and it means that nothing happens. Now pushing the minion wave, Lyric.
You know, we talked about how eStar are kind of like that, like, 3rd string of FPX, and now that we're seeing Fun on Kassadin, it feels like it's even more true.
Yeah. They've kind of looked at the world champion and gone, hey, let's do that. And you can't really fault him. Now playing the bottom side, everyone TPs immediately. Xiaoxi invincible, keeps himself safe here. And as the whole team for eStar arrives, everyone backs away.
And ultimately, we set up that this Taric ultimate needs to be used so that Fun can go make aggressive plays. If it's used defensively in this manner, it feels like a lot falls apart.
Hang on. They just used Taric ultimate, and Dragon is spawning in 30 seconds, Lyric. That is bad news for eStar.
Yeah, definitely going to need that ultimate if they want to find some kind of fight that's in their favor. Suning still have everything up. I guess they don't have the Nautilus ultimate, but that doesn't necessarily feel as crucial as Ezreal and Kale just putting out damage.
Like, ultimately, if I'm going to trade Nautilus ultimate for Taracle on the other team, you take that trade every single time. 5 seconds until Infernal Drake spawns. This would be Infernal Soul for
eStar
Sunic.
giving it up.
How am I witnessing this? This is Infernal Soul. This is not... We were like, all right, we have a great soul. Everybody's going to contest. We're going to see fights back and forth, blah, blah, blah. No. We just see eStar completely give up Infernal Soul. That ain't it, Chief. That ain't it.
Yeah. I'm just pretty speechless here at eStar. I don't know if they feel like they're going to start winning eventually, but Suning have a 4K.
I don't think so, but
okay, I guess more of a 3K gold lead, but they have 2 Infernals. They have Infernal Soul. And this K, I mean, all of their champions are just going to hit like a truck at this point, right? If Cassidy goes in, I feel like Cassidy just gets deleted at this point.
God.
God. I agree with the Colonel on this one.
You know, it was pretty even. And then Infernal Soul hit. And, like, you think Ezreal's annoying with just the Iceborne Gauntlet. Try an Iceborne Gauntlet that explodes every time you hit a Q. Like, you think Kale does a lot of damage? Try it with Infernal Soul. Like, everything is just insane.
And let's remember, not just Infernals, right? They obviously have 2 Infernals as well. So damage amplification as well as just, you know, those explosions coming out as well.
And here's the thing. It's not the Infernal Soul on matter. It's the fact that eStar did nothing. It's not like they even traded for anything on the map.
They never contested one Drake. Never.
I'm just sad that this went so easily. SOFM didn't quite get the blue buff for himself there. Oh, he did. I don't know how I didn't see that.
Let's remember that this game, when it came to scaling, like, we weren't hard set in one way or the other, right? We were questioning it. We were pointing out both ways that each composition can work out. But when Suning have every dragon, have soul,
it's like
it feels pretty clear-cut.
Maybe the Suning composition does win by default if eStar never do anything for the entire game.
You know? I feel like that's a pretty good
It's
win
almost
condition.
like if you give up the entire map without ever contesting, you probably won't win the game.
You know?
I don't want to claim to be some kind of expert.
No, I feel like I figured out eStar's approach. Do you really lose any game if you don't actually play it? So are they really losing at League of Legends, or are they not playing League of Legends?
Conceding isn't technically a loss. Flash from Bin here. Cosmic Radiance used real early in this fight. That is not good for eStar. And Suning, they don't even have to commit to the fight now.
eStar like that edgy kid in like high school gym class where like you're playing a sport you're trying to win, and they're just like over there like, no, I don't care.
I don't care about this sport.
They're going to do nothing. Their team's going to lose, but they feel cooler and edgier for it. They feel like all the girls are looking at them, but that's not how winning championships in LPL works.
Here's the thing. None of the girls are looking at them because there are no audiences in the arenas right now. This is not the place. Swordog got 4 knockups with his ult. Down comes the bear. I mean, there's nothing that eStar could do here. I say that, 1 kill does go their way, but Wink just gets 2 shot by Bin here. 1 more auto when he goes down. Oh, Fun pops up, though, but he's clopped by a bear. And that's going to be that. Now onto the Baron.
Obviously, that fight showed us that this is not clear-cut at all, like who wins in terms of scaling, because holy Fun doing so much damage with his ultimate. Holy Fun. But at the end of the day, the Infernal Soul Kale Ezreal team does come out on top.
Well, the Baron, if an Infernal Soul was not enough, now a Baron on top of it. Suning, it may not have been the cleanest team fight ever, but you know what? They still get an advantage. They still get more gold. They still get more objectives. And now they can start to take some towers.
And this was interesting because you pointed out Swordart finding like a really good knockup. Flash knockup onto 3 to 4 people. A ton of AoE coming out from the side of Suning. I'm trying to keep my eyes on Fun because it feels like he's the one who deals a lot of this damage. Wink as well doing a lot with his autos, but Fun ultimately with those ultimates just dealing so much AoE.
He just annihilated both solo laners simultaneously in that fight. Which, well played by Fun ultimately, but wasn't quite enough to win out the fight here. And this is kind of what we were talking about, how like the win conditions are very singular for these two teams in the fights. Like Fun has to win the fight. Bin has to win the fight. That is how these compositions function. Sordart's got a face check here. He will be stunned, as is Bin. Knock up onto both of them. Bin just about gets his ult off, and now the fight turns around, but FunFun's on the back line and Bin falls. Wei trying to get out with his life. Angel finally arriving. There goes two of them, but Suning are losing this one. Knock up across the team. In goes SOFM, but he doesn't have the damage to take down a Kassadin, and FunFun gets more kills in his pocket now.
Are we really going to see an Infernal Soul Kale team lose?
I don't know. I'm not really sure at this point, Lyric, but you know what? I'm buckled in and I'm ready for the ride that this game is about to give us.
I feel like we all are. I don't think this was ever about win conditions or analysis. Yeah. This was about seeing how whatever Suning put together with the Kale works out into eStar's comp. And
you know what?
I don't think we're actually finding a clear answer.
We're getting a really LPL day today, aren't we?
Yes, we are.
Our first series was incredibly LPL. Now we're going to see the exact same thing here. And I mean, great engage, honestly, from eStar. This is really well set up. Yeah,
and this was Suning face checking, right? So even Bin getting extremely low to start off. He was like 20% HP by the time FunFun got into the fight. And now it's just, okay, we have this Kassadin that is fed, that has scaled up, doing so much damage. On the side of Suning, it really is all about Kale. I mean, Hwanfeng as well has the potential to be a force in these fights, but obviously you're never just going to be able to get away from the Kassadin. And he's 4-1-4.
Yeah. This is the thing, right? FunFun is now massive. He's already finished his Seraphs. He's stacked his Rod of Ages that we were talking about. That's a lot of damage out of Angel. He's certainly no slouch either. We got 5 seconds until an Elder Dragon. This could be the moment where eStar turn things around.
I mean, the game is going to be decided right here and right now, Munch.
Let's find out who gets it. Bin DPSing the hell out of this Drake. They might just get it before there's any contest coming on through. They're going to stop DPS here. In comes Xiaoxi with the ulti, keeping everyone safe. It's taken by eStar. They might have just won the game. Now onto the rest of Suning as they annihilate their health bars. Bin with an ultimate, but you can't escape the Kassadin. Down he goes. A double for FunFun. And eStar have somehow pulled this off.
Munchables, that made no sense to me. We actually saw Suning get the Dragon that low and then just back off when all of eStar rock up and throw down Taric ultimate. Like, hey, sure, you guys can have that Dragon. We'll posture for a better fight afterwards. That makes no sense.
You don't get a better fight when they've got Elder Dragon. Infernal Soul went the weight of Suning with basically no contest. See you later, Xiaoxi, by the way. But actually, is that enough? Maybe they can stop them ending.
I'm actually
surprised. All right, nicely done, Angel. Once again, Angel is the standout for Suning.
Ah, Munchables, I don't understand what is happening this game.
Does anyone?
So they use Tark until they walk forward. Everyone from Suning backs off. Everyone. They don't keep anyone close to try to get a smite. SOFM does his best, but still, now all of the members of eStar just run forward. We had a really great Taric ultimate, and
I don't know if you saw that, but Angel, as soon as the Dragon's gone down, is like, all right, guys, I'll see you later. Goes down to bot lane and just starts recalling. He's like, I'm not even going to try. Like, this fight is over.
I mean, we talked about earlier in the day, the power of friendship is what wins games. So that could be the reason Suning are losing.
Are you saying they're not good enough friends?
Potentially.
I don't know. They look like they were pretty good friends when we were looking at them on the cameras earlier. They were all laughing together, memeing around during Champ Select. Maybe they're regretting the memeing around a little bit now.
I just want to say, I like how we discussed about eStar waiting till the moment they needed to fight. We were criticizing them all game long about giving up all these dragons, and they come out with the big brain of like, hey, we never needed the dragons. It's not about Kassadin or Kale. It's just, hey, their comp is way more coherent and makes way more sense. But still, man, this is back and forth.
Oh, Hwanfeng gets caught, but he has QSS. Knock up out of Xiaobai as well. That's a couple of ults used by eStar, but I mean, they still have Elder Drake, so there's no way that Suning actually fights them.
I mean, Kassadin is also full build if he's just going to upgrade his Dark Seal to Medjai's.
Well, that would mean he's not still full build, because he hasn't upgraded that to a Medjai's.
Okay, he's right at the precipice of full
That's
build.
like saying someone's full build because they have 6 ruby crystals and they're only going to build health items.
That is not the same at all.
It's basically the same.
That is nowhere close to the same thing. You know, we deserve to call him full build because he has an Ornn upgrade as well.
Look at that gold swing. That is insane. Right now, FunFun, I mean, whether he's full build or not, he's still late game Kassadin, and that is realistically all that matters. Angel, you remember when you were winning those trades earlier in the game?
No way, no.
You don't get to do that anymore. FunFun knows it. He realizes, though, well, actually, to be honest, I think he could have won even 1v3 there. He's got to that kind of Kassadin.
He definitely wouldn't have won, but I don't think he would have died. So I guess it depends on how you're going to justify a win in a 1v3.
I would have said that he probably could have just won by all definitions. If he dodges the CC.
Wow. I like how Angel thought he wanted to go in, and then FunFun obviously just going to ult forward. Realized, no, he doesn't.
I think that's the right decision. I don't think going in onto FunFun is the play. But let's just clarify one thing here. As the Baron is started by eStar. If FunFun oversteps, it is still very winnable for Suning here. They still have insane damage. They still have a Kale. We have the two insane hyper carries in the same game here. One on either side. This could go either way.
Yep, we have seen that eStar.
FunFun in trouble, but Taric ult still available. That's a stun onto Sword Art, and he just gets annihilated. Now onto the rest of the team. I take it back. This one is over. SOFM going to be the next one to fall as Angel is chased down by FunFun. There is no escaping this Kassadin. There's no way you can run Suning. And now into the base go eStar. Lyric, we're going to 3 games. We're going to the full series here. And eStar pulling this one out of the back.
Yep, and we have found out an invincible Kassadin beats an invincible Kale.
That we did. We're going to 6 games here today, Lyric. And you know what? It couldn't have gone any other way. I was thinking maybe Suning could take this one, but the draft definitely going the way of eStar. And when Kassadin gets to do Kassadin things, this is what happens.
I mean, and just overall, right? Because when it came to scaling, we were a bit hazy. But when it came to how the composition, which composition was